All right, he's back, folks. He said he'd be back, and he's back. Brad Jacobs, Executive Chairman of XPO. You know it and love it on the New York Stock Exchange, XPO. He's got a new company, which he's been talking. I guess he kind of hinted at the last time he was here. Teased. Thank you very much. Brad, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate you coming back. Talk to us about the new opportunity you've seen. I mean, you've done roll-ups of the waste management business, the rental business, the logistics business. Now what?
Building products distribution.
Building products distribution. Okay.
So if you could think about any house or a commercial facility or a hospital or a school or a church, all the stuff that goes into making that building. So that could be the roof, the flooring, the windows, the tiles, the doors, the fire hydrant, the infrastructure, the pipes, HVAC. All that stuff has to go through the supply chain. And it's huge, huge markets, $800 billion in size between here and Western Europe. And it's been growing about 7%.
All right. So what do you bring to it that's new?
We'll bring a lot that's new. First of all, we're going to create a very large company and get all the advantages of scale and size that come with that. Second of all, we're going to apply technology. We're going to apply technology, especially AI, for dynamic pricing, for managing the warehouses better, making them more automated, to do route optimization for the delivery trucks, to do interactions with the customer. E-commerce right now is mid-single digits %. It should be the majority.
And in building materials, Paul, all I want is
know.
a straight 2x4.
I know that's.
Can you make that happen? It's a big deal.
You got it.
It's a big deal where you source your materials, because even though it's commoditized, I just find as the end user, it's not always the same product.
Well, I'm glad to hear that there's a problem to solve in this chain, and we will solve that.
Talk to us about kind of the, I guess in the past, part of your strategy has been rolling up a fragmented industry. Right. Is that in fact the case here? Talk to us about kind of the fragmentation and kind of how you plan to deal with that.
So there's about 13,000 distributors here in the United States. Excuse me, it's 7,000 here in the United States. It's about 13,000 in Europe. So there's 20,000 distributors between here and Western Europe. So it's very, very, very fragmented. The largest company would be Ferguson. It's about $30 billion. Great company, done very, very good, very well. But I plan to make a company even bigger than that.
Boy, how do I invest in this one? I'm not going to miss this one.
Well, as Paul, it's not your first rodeo. What is the experience that you picked up at the other companies with which you were involved, and how does it apply to this?
Well, it's a similar business plan in the sense that it's going to be primarily based on consolidation, acquisitions, so acquiring companies at a relatively good price, a price that's a lower multiple than what we're trading at, and then improving those companies. So if you look at XPO Logistics, for example, we bought 18 companies. They were doing roughly $1 billion in EBITDA between all of them. And after a few years, they were doing over $2 billion of EBITDA. So we improved the companies that we bought. That's the same thing we're going to do here.
Do you become then a friend or enemy or a frenemy of Home Depot or Lowe's?
Home Depot, and to a lesser extent Lowe's, plays in a specific niche of this market, mostly the pro contractor, and they'll be one of many competitors, 20,000 of them to be precise.
Okay. All right, so I know we were talking to you the last time, management teams, assembling a management team is one of your primary responsibilities, jobs.
The most important thing.
Most important things. Talk to us about how you're going to kind of do that here.
So I wrote a book, as you know,
Yep.
And it's called How to Make a Few $1 Billion. And the key thing, if you read that book, is the quality of the people. Make sure you have people who are really smart, really hardworking, very good at what they do, collaborative, good team members, people who are really sharp and focused. And if you can get that quality of world-class management hired, and if you can create a culture where everyone values the relationships between each other and treats each other with respect and transparency, you can accomplish a real lot. I'm going to have that same exact principle here. That's one of the most important principles for success, in my opinion. And by the way, we named it QXO, Q for quality.
Yep.
We kept the X and O because we're going to use some of the same winning principles that made XPO and GXO and RXO successful.
How far behind is the building supply industry in terms of adapting and using technology?
As an industry as a whole, it's behind. Maybe it's in like the second inning. There are a handful of companies doing pretty well. So last week, Builders First Source had an investor day. I read the transcript and saw it on webcast, heard it on the webcast. I like what they said about what they're doing in technology, but they're the exception. They're the anomaly. Most companies are not using technology in any big way in the warehouses. Most of them are not using technology enough on the route optimization. Most of the building products distributors are not using technology enough for pricing decisions, for pricing optimization. And these are big variables that can enhance the customer experience dramatically and take out lots of unnecessary cost.
Well, does this mean you pass the costs on to the end users?
To the contrary, I hope we save money for the end user, because we're going to take out waste, take out inefficiency in the whole supply chain, and we'll share that. We'll share that with the customer. We'll have better margins, but we can share some of that improved margin with the customer.
What kind of revenues are you predicting at this point?
By the end of the first year, we should be on a revenue run rate of at least $1 billion. At the end of the second year, we should be on a revenue run rate of at least $5 billion.
Whoa.
And over the next decade, we expect to get this into the tens of billions of dollars in revenue size.
So where are we with QXO now? You just press release comes out today. Where do you start? Where does your capital come from? How do you go from here? How do you build this company?
Well, I was on your show last week, and we
Yep.
talked about how we're putting $1 billion of equity into
Okay.
a very small cap company called Silversun.
That's right.
And we're going to wait till that deal closes in a few months, and then we're going to spin that company back to the original legacy shareholders.
Okay.
We're going to give them a little dividend, $2.5 million. We're going to give them a less than 0.5% share in our new company.
Okay.
We'll have our new company, we'll own over 99% of it, and we will use that money to go out and do some acquisitions and start building the business. And over time, we'll tap the capital markets, as we've done over the decades.
How do you typically fund your deals, equity versus debt, given now that the debt is so much more expensive than it was over the last 10, 15 years?
More equity than debt than in the past. In the
Okay.
past, I've been comfortable going up to 2 to 4 times of leverage. Here, I'm thinking more, roughly half of that. And the reasons are twofold. One, as you said, interest rates are higher. Although 20 years ago, interest rates were right here.
Yeah.
It's
Yep,
like,
yep.
it's just recently, it was in the last 10 years, they got almost to nothing. Secondly, is the world has a lot of macro issues going on, wars and geopolitical tension, and it's more prudent to have less leverage, in my opinion.
What's your title going to be? What's your role in all this? And are you giving up your business, your other businesses?
I'm certainly not going to give up my other businesses. I'm executive chairman of XPO, and I plan to keep doing that. And I'm non-executive chairman of RXO and of GXO, and I love all three of those companies dearly. And I think I help them in the roles that I play there. In terms of what my title and position is going to be here, it's going to be the same title I've had since I've been 23. I'm going to be chairman and CEO, and I'm going to run the company. I'm going to lead the management team.
And what made you target this industry specifically? You've got about 30 seconds or so left.
I looked at over 500 opportunities in many, many different industries. And this is the one that checked every single box of what I was looking for. Something that was large, something that was acquisition rich, something that was up my alley in terms of my skill set, something that was growth, 7% organic growth, and an industry and a customer set that is familiar to me. United Rentals has a big overlap with the construction customers, for example.
Fascinating. Brad, thanks so much for joining us again. We appreciate you coming back and bringing us up to date on your new opportunity. Brad Jacobs, he's executive chairman of XPO. He's got that $1 million fund, which we talked about a couple of weeks, and now we know what he's going to do. He's going to go into a new business and hopefully build another successful company for his shareholders. So we appreciate getting a few minutes of his time.